Well, welcome to Marvel Champions Monthly. We are a fan podcast about the card game Marvel Champions, designed by Fantasy Flight Games, or produced by Fantasy Flight Games, designed by Caleb Grace and Michael Boggs. I'm one of your hosts, Kennedy Hawk. We've got all three other hosts with us today. So we've got Attercop. How's it going, Attercop?
That's going good.
He started off with you this time.
I did.
Yeah.
I remembered from editing last time how offended you were to be last, so I changed the order. And then we've got Crimson. How's it going, Crimson?
That's going pretty good.
It's going great. Well, that's good. We have an exciting live show. We don't do live shows all the time, but we're going to try to do them like once a quarter or something nowadays. So it should be exciting and adventurous. We'll have to have a bleep button ready for Crimson.
Really?
No, not really.
It's not that bad.
And we've got Amerikano. How's it going?
Good. We're going on a vacation tomorrow, so.
Oh, so you got to get to bed. Well, too bad you're last.
I mean,
talking.
it's pretty early here still, so.
Okay. So it's not too bad. All right. Well, this is our live show, and this is actually, we're 1 week delayed, but we're 2 years and a week away from when we posted our first episode way back in the day, Crimson. Can you believe it's been 2 years since we started Marvel Champions Monthly?
Yeah, it's been a ride.
In the last 5 minutes, I pulled together some stats when I made these PowerPoint slides. So they're highly scientific, as in Podbean just emails them to me when I ask them to. But I thought I would give everybody an overview of some of the stats we get from our podcast host. So we now have 200,000 downloads if you combine our YouTube downloads and our Podbean feed downloads. So that's pretty cool. 130,000 of those are from podcast episodes. We've got 1,000 subscribers, so thanks to all 1,000 of you. That is awesome that you tune into our show and listen to us be wrong so often. Oh, cool. I have a timer on my slides. I'll have to fix that in a minute. And we've got 75 episodes in our podcast. 49 are the main show, and 27 are spin-offs, so 75 plus. So that's pretty cool over 2 years. We're obviously a little bit more than monthly, like our name says. But we wanted to say thanks to everybody that listens to the show. Even if this is your first episode, thanks for tuning in. And especially thanks to everybody that supports us on Patreon. So we don't do this every episode. I don't like to plug the Patreon, but I wanted to thank everybody that's in there, especially since we're kicking off Volume 3 with this third year. So this is going to be a long rattling of names. But thank you to Randy H., Chris M., Loch Ness, Ryan L., Scott H., Matt M., Will R., Ron F., Scott A., Brad M., Alan, no last name, Kevin G., Garrett W., Chris C., Scott W., Board Game Lawyer, Eric L., Adam G., Sergio M., Mr. Ben, Jason P., and Josh M. We appreciate all of you. You're amazing.
Wow. You guys are awesome.
Let's be honest, you guys are the real superheroes.
Yes, we are just the people stumbling through superheroics.
You know, I wouldn't actually do this because I don't want to talk to these guys, but for those people that listen.
It's true. He has me blocked on Discord, I think. All right, that's enough of that garbage. But we're starting Volume 3 now. So just as a heads up, starting with our next episode recording, we're going back to our normal bi-weekly recording segments. Every Friday night, every other Friday night, we get together and record. We're going to start doing segments again, how we used to do the news and then a little comic book lore and then a little bit of something else and then have a main topic. And the segments are going to kind of rotate around. I think we've got 5 or 6 segments we really like. So we'll rotate through those. They won't all show up every episode. But one thing that is going to show up every main feed episode is we're going to have a showcase MCM matchup. And what that means is we're going to announce the first one here in just a second. But every main show episode, we're going to challenge the community to get their Marvel Champions cards out and go play a very specific matchup. So starting with this episode, before our next recording in 2 weeks, we want everybody to go play Klaw from the core set with Space Pirates from Galaxy's Most Wanted. And you can play on whatever difficulty level you want, standard, expert, heroic 7. If you're like Steve from Beat the Game, he'll probably do it. Post your videos of you playing it on YouTube, and then go to this form at the bottom of the screen here, and we'll put that in the show notes as well, because we want to get the stats on how the community does and see how many people played this matchup, how many people won on the different expert levels, and things like that. So it's going to be really cool. Each week we're going to go through a different host saying what the matchup is, and we'll see just how that goes. 1 second here. I'm having a technical problem with my highly technical PowerPoint. I should know how to do this. Who's good at slideshows? I'm like a PowerPoint engineer. That's like literally what I do at work.
I know that's what
Yikes!
I
Don't
was
admit
like,
that.
yeah.
Dan, don't admit that.
I'm a youth counselor, so I can't help you here.
Untechnical difficulties. It's just gonna keep sliding back and forth, and then I'll keep going, oh crud, oh crud. Anyway, that's all we have for announcements at the beginning. We're gonna finally we did this last summer as well, our tier list episode. So, Amerikano, why don't you give us the rundown of how you asked us all to rate all the heroes that are released in Marvel Champions? And we did up to Venom, because when we were making these lists, Nebula and Mad Titan Shadows and all that stuff wasn't out yet.
Yeah, so we did a tier list last year, and there were only 12 or 13 heroes at that point. So we were able to give our ranking, our power rankings from S to C or D, I think C tier last year, and we chose which aspect was the best that we thought for each hero. This year, what we're doing is we're each taking our respective aspect, and we're ranking them power rankings. So S through D, except Crimson, S through C.
Typical.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
none of
he's
them were
awesome, and
that
he
bad.
no, and that's fine, right? If we felt like we had to have a D tier, that's fine. We did that. But so for example, my power rankings are for how I think how powerful that hero is in protection. And that's really what it boils down to. So what we're gonna do is go through each tier. I think this is how we decided, right? Go through each tier and have the other co-hosts sort of grill us or ask us why we felt like that hero was, or any highlights for each tier, right? Because we don't want to make this a 2-hour show.
Totally. So I think what we'll do is I'll put up the slide you put together of that person's rankings. We'll let that person talk about their rankings, go through it, and give us an overview of it, and then we can poke them with questions, and we can take questions from the chat on Twitch, and then we'll go through each of the 4 aspects that way.
Sounds great.
All right, so Attercop is up first, because otherwise he would get super defensive about being last. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd be green about being last.
Maybe you'd be red, green, Christmas. I don't know.
Okay, so all of them, obviously, like you said, we're talking about these heroes specifically as aggression heroes, and unsurprisingly, Cap, Scarlet Witch, and Venom are the top. All of them have ways to keep damage pumping out to either leverage low cost or get more value out of their events, which is easily the most important thing in aggression. Cap can turn a dead card into another attack or a thwart. Scarlet Witch can just do stuff for free or just make it deal more damage. A lot of her events have really high ceiling, and Venom generates those wild resources where you're trading health for it. So he works both in the heavy physical like dropkick build, and just kind of in general, the mean swing build as well, because he is built to have attachments. So in those specific instances, these guys are the top of the top of the top, and you can play them in pretty much any way for aggression. For A tier, we've got Panther, Ant-Man, Wasp, Quicksilver, Star-Lord, and Gamora. And these guys, for the most part, are like on the cusp of S tier, and I'm sure that a lot of the listeners and stuff would see these guys, would see any of these guys easily into S tier. And this was kind of a hard differentiation to make. I didn't want to just put everybody up at the top. Obviously, Panther, for very similar reasons, he has a really, really good cost curve. He makes a lot of he has access to a lot of resources, which is important. Ant-Man gets a lot of extra miles out of his kit in aggression. Same with Wasp. Being able to divide her damage is a big deal. Quicksilver, high damage, high number of actions. Star-Lord for reasons similar to Scarlet Witch, and Gamora for just getting extra miles out of everything that she plays. I think it'd be kind of hard to say that she is any lower than A for a lot of us. You can see the B tier. Most of your other heroes are going to fall into there. I put Thor into B despite him being one of my favorite aggression heroes. He does have pretty soft turns. Doctor Strange, which you could argue is S for literally anything, doesn't have anything to do with his aspect, though. His personal kit is so good that his aspect doesn't matter, and because of that, I ranked him down in aggression. You guys might see Hulk in C tier. Despite how much I love playing Hulk, I do acknowledge that he has some shortcomings and has to have the first turn or two go exactly his way, or it's not going to work. Drax and She-Hulk are both there, kind of on the merits of their low hand size, so it's kind of hard to have explosive turns with them. Although Drax being designed a little differently, can do it by like chaining a few nice cards together. They just don't have the explosive turns. And at the very bottom, Widow is just because she lacks the preparations, so she lacks that kind of synergy. And Groot, I honestly just don't have enough experience with Groot to say that he's great in aggression. I know that he can pump out pretty large attacks, but again, things kind of have to go your way to get those growth tokens, as I understand it.
Cool. So you're open for questions, huh?
Yeah.
I got the first question for you then. So when
Okay.
you're ranking a hero with respect to aggression, are you looking at heroes that enhance aggression, or that aggression like makes the hero like go to the next level?
That's a good question.
Or both? I don't know.
It's kind of a little bit of both, but I rank them higher if they could just kind of synergize with it. Like in Venom's case, a couple of the popular aggression archetypes, the dropkick heavy physical and the mean swing weapon archetypes are both 100% in his wheelhouse. I mean, I guess he could play both at the same time, and be just fine. But you do only have, your 25 cards typically.
Cool.
So it's more about their kit complementing what aggression is already trying to do, rather than like in Strange's case where he got voted down because he doesn't really do anything with aggression. He just does good things, and you happen to have red cards.
Gotcha. Who's got the next question? Any questions, Amerikano?
I'm gonna ask you, why is Drax a C tier hero in aggression? I found
That was going to be my question too.
I don't want you to think that I'm. And I'll admit when I think I'm wrong about Drax, but I think that you're wrong about Drax here, and it's just because I think personally his best two aspects are aggression and protection, because I think they play into his shtick. I mean, you can get up to a base attack of 6 with him in aggression with combat training.
Definitely.
So I mean that does. I mean, the way I saw it, if I'm understanding you, is it does enhance. I think it enhances his whole thing. But I mean, anyway, not that your choices are wrong, because the great thing about tier lists is there are opinions, and so I'm just wondering why he got knocked down to see. Anyway, did you run out of room in B tier?
I actually kind of felt like I was running out of room in B tier, but that's not why Drax is there. It's because he kind of feels, to me at least, he kind of feels like he needs the same kind of setup that Hulk does to really get moving. The 4 card just really hurts. The four card hand size just really hurts. I like that he can ramp his attack up really high. I don't like that he is going to end up taking a lot of damage to do it. But similarly to Hulk, I think that with a couple pieces down early, he does really well. But the four hand size just really hurts.
I really like your decision in the top row because it's all heroes that aggression enhances, but also like make up for the thwarting weakness of aggression. But I'm shocked to see Rocket solo because I thought he was like the ultimate aggression overkilling machine. But I haven't played a ton of Rocket, so I'm probably off base.
When I got Galaxy's Most Wanted, I was like pretty excited to play Rocket because I was just finishing up reading a bunch of Guardian stuff, and I was like, oh well, naturally Rocket. I want to play him in aggression, and I played maybe like 5, 6, 7 hands with what I thought was a pretty decent aggression build, and I just wasn't having fun with it. It something about it was missing, and when I switched over to leadership, actually, I liked him a lot more because I was able to tinker pretty much every turn or every time I flipped, where it was a little harder relying on his kit or, at the time, I think hand cannon had just came with him,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was it. So in leadership, I had a lot more fun with him, and I think that weighed him down into B.
Well, you could yell at me about that later.
No, it was great. It was really good.
I have a question for you. So about Miss Marvel. So do you think that playing that Miss Marvel, that multiverse mashup with her, bumped her up for you, or do you think she was the same? Like, where do you think? What do you think that playthrough that we did a couple weeks ago?
Oh, please ask me that when it's my turn.
How did that affect your ranking of her?
That's a really good question. Because of the community, actually, I was pretty like high up on Miss Marvel in aggression, because there's a couple people that really 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 like her, and I take their word for it. So I kind of expected her to land around there, and when I played it myself, I actually had fun. For me, a lot of the characters they have to be characters that I personally enjoy like reading, and I haven't read much of Miss Marvel. So basically, playing her solidified where I probably would have put her based on the community's input.
Okay, right on.
Nice. Well, that's our aggression tier list for this year. I think we should probably move on to try to get done in our hour time limit, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Crimson is the next victim to tell us all about why She-Hulk is bad.
So, okay, I'm a person who likes to shore up weaknesses versus make strengths stronger. That's just the way I prefer to build my characters. So again, they're going to be a little strange. People, this list is not going to be for everybody. This is just my personal list. For S tier, I have Captain America, Doctor Strange, and Gamora. The reason why they're S tier is because they're great in every aspect, and they're the strongest characters, in my opinion, in the game. So they're going to end up in my S tier no matter what, because it doesn't matter what aspect you play them in, they're going to be great. I've been a long champion of Doctor Strange as the strongest character in the game. He just is. In my opinion, he is the most versatile character in the game, and he's great. So I'm going to just skip past S because we've heard this song and dance so many times from me anyways. A is where it gets interesting. I have She-Hulk, Iron Man, Hulk, Ant-Man, and Wasp. This is where you see that shore up to the weakness. So She-Hulk and Hulk, they are great at doing damage. She-Hulk has some thwart capabilities, but they're really terrible. Most of the time, you're just going to toss those for resources. So, because you're losing her thwart cards, usually as to be as resources, running her justice is really strong, in my opinion. She's been one of my favorites since the very beginning of the game as a justice player. Hulk has that same aspect. Hulk has great cards that do good damage, but his weakness is he's on a clock. Like, I've lost to Rhino with Hulk because Rhino just was able to get more threat, and Hulk doesn't really get rid of threat. Adding in the justice aspect with Hulk allows you to slow that clock down and puts Hulk just over the edge where he can do enough damage in the time frame he needs. Yes, the 4 cards sucks. Don't get me wrong. It's bad. That's a weakness that he has to deal with. What you get for those only having 4 cards is you get 3 attack. He's a very strong character that can bring out some damage, and pairing him with Justice allows him to control the clock of the game just a little bit, so that way he can finish the game himself. Iron Man's always been a Justice character for me. One of the way I play Iron Man is I Voltron him. I assemble that suit, which means I'm sitting in Tony Stark mode for a couple rounds, which means there's a lot of threat being built up. When I flip over to Iron Man, I want to have the option to remove that threat that has been building up over the course of a couple turns. With Justice, you're able to do that. Ant-Man and Wasp, so with them, what I liked about them is the versatility of them. And I feel adding in Justice allows you to focus more on their big form, and then using Justice to get rid of some thwart. But you still have the option to go to the tiny form and really work on some thwart there too. Justice surprisingly has a lot of damage cards now, so you can make a versatile Justice deck that complements the versatility of Ant-Man and Wasp. So these were the ones that I felt were very much A tier. The one that's missing that if I had it to do it over again after playing him more, I have Venom in B, and I probably would up Venom to A if I had it to do again. But to me, B tier is your average tier. They're great heroes. They're gonna win games. They're just there. They're average decks. And in B, I have Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Drax, and Venom. Drax, I feel like Drax is better as aggression or protection. I don't think his kit really fits well with leadership, even as shoring up a weakness. Just the way he plays is very different than like Hulk or She-Hulk. I think Captain Marvel's great. I love Black Panther. They're both, if this was a tier of characters, they would be much higher. I just think there's better aspects for those characters. Same thing with like Black Widow. I think Black Widow is one of the best protection characters in the game. But do I think she's one of the best Justice characters? No. Now, she's not bad. She does have preparations in Justice, but I think she's better elsewhere. Scarlet Witch, just not a fan of Scarlet Witch. I don't like the playstyle. I think it's too chaotic, and I'm a player who likes to be able to plan out turns in advance, and Scarlet Witch has a lot of randomness. On to the C tier, I have Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, Hulk, Spider-Woman, Quicksilver, Groot, Rocket, and Star-Lord. Star-Lord is just too risky. The way I want to play this game is way too risky. Groot and Rocket, unfortunately, are just Justice is not an aspect that they're good in. I mean, it's not their aspect. Spider-Man, you could go Justice Spider-Man, but I don't think it's good with him. I think he's better elsewhere. Spider-Woman, I actually like as Justice, but she's the hard one in this one to do because she has to have two aspects. So it's hard to rate her when you're talking about aspects. But I think she's still a fine character. You just really have to build her very specifically. Quicksilver is a great hero. He's an A rank hero in my opinion, but I think he's A rank as justice or as leadership, not justice. Thor, I think is just a better aggression hero than justice hero, and that's kind of how I have my rankings. Miss Marvel, the reason why I don't have a D. If I had a D, Miss Marvel would be in my D, but honestly, she's not as bad as I make her out to be. But damn, I hate playing her. I really hate playing her.
There's a really cool Miss Marvel deck on the Marvel CDB homepage right now that uses Turn the Tide like 3 times. Like she bounces it multiple times back to her hand to like hit for 9. It's crazy pants, but I haven't tried it yet. It looks cool.
It's a 0 cost card, right, for 9.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I mean, there's lots of good combos with her. I just can't. I just don't like playing her.
Can't do it. You just can't do it.
Yeah. No, and now I have PTSD. Thank you, guys.
Never again. Never again. We won't make it happen. I'll let somebody else ask the questions because I like it so far, so I'm digging it.
I think I had a really good question prepared, I promise. And then you said that Scarlet Witch was too chaotic for you, and I've been like snickering since you said it. So way to go, design team. You made her too chaotic. She's just so chaotic. Krim doesn't want to play her.
Too themed.
You know,
yeah.
I don't like randomness in my card games. You know, it's the reason why I don't play Hearthstone. I think Hearthstone's a great game for other people. You know, if I have to choose, I'm going to play Magic because there's less randomness there. It's more calculated, it's more analytical, and just the way I play card games. I think about my turn, I think about my next turn, and I think about the turn after that. And Scarlet Witch does not allow that to happen.
Oh, I got a question for you. You said Spider-Woman's hard to rank with aspects, so if you had to pick an aspect to go with Justice for Spider-Woman, what would it be? And then what tier would that character end up in?
I would go aggression, and I'd put her A.
Cool.
Yeah, I think with the duality of aggression / justice, honestly, I don't even care about her kit at that point. I think if you can combine justice and aggression, you get the 2 things you need in this game, which is clock and damage. Which is why I like the Hulk so much.
So what I'm hearing is that green and blue cards shouldn't even be in the game.
No, green and blue cards are great. They're there to help me do better.
So one thing Justice allows is a lot of flipping, but 2 of the big flippers, Miss Marvel and Black Widow, you have pretty low. So is there something those characters are missing that would like elevate them in Justice better?
So Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel, you mean?
No, Miss Marvel, right? She wants to flip every turn if she can, which Justice allows.
Miss Marvel's just trash. That's why she's there. But...
Okay, ignore that. Black Widow. Black Widow. Why is she so low? Come on.
Okay, so Black Widow's a great superhero with her ability to cancel treachery cards and everything. My problem is she's just better as a protection hero. She's just better in a different aspect.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that Justice is Black Widow's premier aspect. Like
it is.
Not premiere in that she premiered with it, but like that is her best aspect. I think that being able to trigger all of those preparations and play kind of play reactively to the board really sets her apart from other heroes because she can play so many.
And most people would 100% agree with you. Mm-hmm. I did not enjoy her as Justice as much as other people did. I thoroughly enjoyed her as protection. She's a very greedy protection. She is not a tank protection. She is I protect myself, and then I use my kit to take care of thwart and to do damage.
I sort of agree. I like her in protection too, because in Justice, I always feel like I flip a little bit too much, and then I'm always in the wrong form when um, all my what are they called preparations want to trigger, and then I'm like, oh, here I got 8 preparations on the board and I can't trigger any of them, and then I flip up and we flip a bunch of useless cards that I can't cancel, and I'm just like, come on. But in protection, you sit there and you're always ready to trigger your preparations, which is cool.
Are all of her preparations hero?
There are
Hero
no
interrupt.
alter ego or just action preparations yet that I know of.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So yeah, she may want to flip a lot, but to get the most out of her, you don't want to flip her. Yes, flipping her over to Natalie and getting the extra card draw is great and cool. Card draw is king. I mean, it is. But at the same point, now you're shutting off your entire mechanic to do that.
All right. Any more last minute questions for Crimson?
Woo.
I'm
He
good.
He escaped without too much ridicule. So now we get to the list that's completely
It's
just
it's
made up
because
from
he didn't put
someone's
any
gut.
D tiers. He didn't put any in D tiers, so
Yeah, I
he
know.
wasn't
He didn't do
ruffling any
anything
feathers.
controversial. All right. I guess I am next. And this is my leadership list. So I will talk through my S and A tiers. So my S tier, what I have heroes here are heroes that just, when you play these heroes with leadership, they really like let you play some of the best leadership cards, whether that's Avengers Assemble or the really big cost allies like the new upcoming Captain Marvel 6 cost ally. Ain't none of the other heroes down here are going to be playing her because she's going to be too expensive. But this top row, they can definitely do it. So Captain Marvel, she's got her 3 resource cards. Those are great. Captain America obviously makes sense in leadership because his alter ego ability is busted. Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, the Mystics, can just draw infinite cards, basically. Scarlet Witch can cheat whatever she wants into play. And similarly with Star-Lord, you can cheat all these allies into play. There's that really cool Star-Lord deck where you get, it's either 6 or 7 wide in Avengers, and you play Avengers Assemble and Blaze of Glory in multiplayer in the same turn to give like all your characters +3/+3. It's just so good. So those heroes, really good in leadership. A tier heroes, I have Black Panther, because again, he's got those double resources. And the reason he's here instead of in the top row is when you're playing him, you still sort of feel like you're playing a Black Panther deck. And I should have said that right up front. All of the heroes, basically, like every hero in this game, can just plop allies on the board and use strength in numbers and win the game. But that doesn't mean that they should all be S tier, even though strength in numbers plus allies is S tier. So removing that from the formula, Black Panther is really, really good at playing with allies, but it doesn't just bring him to the S tier for me. We've got Thor, which you can yell at me about later, but I think his new card from the Star-Lord's kit, the aerial card, adds something to Thor that we've like never seen before. And even though some people call it a jank deck or a joke deck, I think that deck is amazing in multiplayer. It's basically, for every character you have with the aerial trait, you can deal 3 damage to a different enemy. So you can get to 4 or 5 aerial allies plus Thor with aerial, and then you have 3 damage AoE across the board like every turn between that and Lightning Strike, and it's pretty crazy. Black Widow has rapid response, which is busted. And I have Spider-Woman up here for that Captain Marvel Spider-Woman leadership protection deck, where you just draw all the cards. It's not my favorite deck in the world because I feel like it just makes it take forever to win the game, but it's a really good deck, so I should rate it highly. All right, in B tier, things are a little bit more iffy. So these are heroes that work well with leadership for one reason or another, but they don't necessarily have these just like decks that are bonkers pants outside of strength and numbers. So Spider-Man, obviously you can Voltron with Black Cat. Forever, he's going to be sort of the Voltron builder because of Black Cat and eventually Yondu and all these others that let him sort of build up these allies that never go away. Iron Man, like Crimson mentioned, he's going to have to sit in alter ego form for a while. Unfortunately for Justice, you put a bunch of threat in the scheme, but with leadership, you play all those cheap allies with good thwart like Maria Hill, and you can stay there even longer. I have Wasp and Quicksilver here because I think they are characters that use leadership in a way that nobody else does. And I think Cap could be there too, but obviously he's higher up. But there's really interesting decks with Wasp and Quicksilver where it's all about pumping their stats with morale boost and moxie and things like that. and then just attacking multiple times with Quicksilver to get the most out of those stats, or with Wasp using like real niche cards like Teamwork to like get really big damage and then spread it out across the board using Wasp's ability. So that's pretty cool. Venom I had as B tier because I think he lets you he's the only hero that lets you play that Guardians like tribal leadership deck outside of Star-Lord really well because he can really monopolize on the upgrades that we have for leadership allies. C tier, C and D tier could have all been in one tier if I wanted them to be, but I wanted to be kind of even with my tiers, like 4 to 5 characters per. So the 5 I have in C are characters that are either really good at statuses or characters that are really good at defending for your allies. So I think that's another way to play leadership that a lot of people don't do, because usually the best way to expend an ally, unfortunately, is to throw it in front of the villain like you're blocking an oncoming bus. But with Drax, you want the villain to attack you, so you can actually use your allies in a completely different way where you're expending them for their stats instead of chump blocking for you. Similarly, with Groot, you can do the same thing and you can build up this board of really strong allies. Ant-Man has a pretty stout defense and can do that, and even She-Hulk can. And then Hawkeye's got status conditions. The D tier, these are the heroes that, for me, have just not worked with leadership at all. And I shouldn't say at all. I mean, like I mentioned, everything works with strength in numbers and a bunch of allies. That is true. But Miss Marvel doesn't have any inherent synergy with leadership with any of her abilities. She's got an ally in her deck, and that's about it. She can pitch things in discard for make the call, but that's just, it's kind of cute. It's not like top tier quality. Miss Marvel can be very top tier, I think, after our last game in other aspects, but I don't think so in leadership. Hulk, again, you can throw strength and numbers in his deck and it's going to be great, but that doesn't mean that it's great if you remove that one card. I think he just doesn't have the income and the cost, and he can't hold on to cards to like create the combos to make leadership work. Similarly for Gamora, it's similar to Kamala. I think we're going to see this with a lot of the event-based heroes. Is a lot of the event-based heroes so far all deal with attack and thwart events, and we've only got one of those in leadership, maybe two. I can't remember. So her like innate ability only synergizes with her hero-specific cards if you go leadership, which is a bit of a bummer. Rocket, I can see going leadership, but I still don't think. I do like the idea of using his Tinker ability to get rid of the tech upgrades. I think that's like a cool way to use Rocket with leadership, but I haven't gotten the deck to click with him for me yet, so he's stuck at the bottom for me for now. And that's my leadership tier list. What you got?
I
Go for it.
I play that Quicksilver deck with pumping the stats. I love it. I predominantly only play Quicksilver as leadership. But I do agree, B is probably where he's at because it is a niche deck or a janky style deck.
Yep.
But man, it's my favorite way to play him.
The only thing I hate about Quicksilver, and I don't know how to get over this, is he's so weak to status conditions. Unless you draw into and always be running, because it like takes away his hero ability, right? If you get stunned and you're an aggression player, you can no longer double attack because you don't ever complete the first one, so you don't get to ready him without like thwarting first and then clearing your stun. But yeah, I think it's a really fun deck.
I want to hear what Attercop has to say about Rocket in D tier.
I actually get it because he's very narrow. Like he doesn't have a whole lot to offer, and in that way, he sort of takes away from his allies. In the one build that he really works with. I was kind of surprised to see Hulk as low as he is, sort of for reasons that like Krim mentioned, where the aspect sort of shores up the weakness of Hulk. I know that the Hulk like low cost strength in numbers, like I mean you addressed the strength in numbers thing, but Hulk with Quinjet was really popular for a little bit. I'm not sure if that's because of Team Covenant or because of something else, but they were doing a lot of that, and it seemed fun. I mean, you eventually get to launch a Hawkeye out, but Quinjet is not a great card in general. There was something else. Oh, I really like seeing Captain Marvel in S tier, because she just draws so many cards, and no matter what you draw, you're like, oh, that's cool. I have a triple resource. I'll just play it. Beta Ray build, no problem. Here's 2 cards. I just played it, and you can't argue with Star-Lord and S either because of that crazy Blaze of Glory deck. Like that deck is actually insane.
Kennedy Hawk, is Captain Marvel leadership still your go-to to play when you have a new player?
When I have a new player, so my wife and I use it every time a new hero pack comes out. Like Nebula came out last week, and our first 3 games were one person playing Captain Marvel, one person playing Nebula, and you just use all of Captain Marvel's abilities to give the new character the draw. So what is it, Commander, or whatever her alter ego ability is, you're like, oh, new character, draw. Let me play Maria Hill 3 times this turn and use Get Ready and Rapid Response. Draw 3 more cards. Let's see what the new character has. So she sees the table a lot. And I didn't rank their signature allies to do this, but she has one of the most powerful signature allies, because Confuse is really, really powerful and mostly trait locked right now, or hero locked. So being able to get that out there with your allies, which is what you want to showcase, is really, really good.
We do the same thing with Leadership Captain America. Whenever you try something new, we say, all right, maybe it'll work, but let's make sure we have a good, basically backstop in case things go sideways.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I'm surprised by is that Black Widow is A tier for leadership. That's not been my experience with it, but
I think with me, it's just rapid response is so
Yeah.
strong. And now that regroup is out, maybe it's less so. But leadership really excels at recursion, right? With make the call, with rapid response, and with regroup. Even though allies are unique, you can see them 4 or 5 times before you cycle through your deck. And with Black Widow being able to pop that rapid response back into your hand when flipping down, it just makes her really, really strong. I've played games with Black Widow where after the first turn, I play Nick Fury every turn for a 10-turn game. And that's just part of my turn, which is insane, right? If you can play Nick Fury every turn, you're probably going to win. Outside of really bad, triple advances or something.
it's fair.
My surprise was Thor. I've never been able to make him work in anything that I've enjoyed.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Schmendrix has this really good Thor leadership deck that it uses Falcon and a couple Avengers with Sky Cycle, and it's definitely a 4-player or 3-player game deck. But you get I think 4 allies out with Ariel and Thor with Ariel, and then that Ariel card from Star-Lord's pack becomes an AoE 3 damage to the board, and it's not an attack, so it gets around stunned, it gets around guard. And any turn you don't draw that, you have a lightning strike. So every turn you can just AoE the board for 3, and anything that has 3 health or less, Thor kills, and it's pretty hysterical.
Sounds great. I'm gonna have to find that deck. I'd really like to play that.
All right. Nobody else is asking questions because we're out of time. On to everyone's favorite aspect, the green one. There it goes.
It's my second pick.
Hey, I'll just say right from the outset, you can see that I am front loaded. I'm top heavy.
That's
Top
what we
heavy.
always say about you. That's what we always say about you. They say, "Do you know Amerikano?" And we go, "Oh yeah, top heavy."
Yeah.
What's that? What's that?
Is,
Captain America. That Captain America image. I'll have to send it to you guys.
This is what we
The
call
Leafield image.
a thick top.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually Amerikano's GI Joe code name.
So I have my S tier. I have Captain America, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Quicksilver, Drax, and Venom. And if I had to change something, I probably would knock Drax down to A tier. I still think he's super powerful in S tier, but or an S tier probably. A tier I have Spider-Man. Let me go through the S tier first. Captain America, he's got the stun, so you can do a cheese stun lock deck. He has his shield, which gives him retaliate, which jives really well, and he can eliminate the any damage potentially with his I can't remember the card now. So his kit I think is just
Are you thinking of that card where he blocks with his shield? Like he blocks the attack with his shield?
Yeah, shield block. That's right.
Oh, there it
That's
is.
right.
Okay, cool.
Hey, I don't play him as much as you do, so I just think that like that's what a protection player does a lot is retaliates or eliminates the damage or hinders the villain, and he can do all of it, right?
He's also the only hero in all of our lists.
To be an S tier.
Yep, he's S tier in all 4 of our lists.
Right.
Yeah. Doctor Strange,
Should have been.
should have been. Yeah, Attercop, what's up with that?
Oh, yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Ben,
too
dude.
good, so I put him in B tier.
Yeah. No, it's that. I'm not going to explain myself twice. It's recorded.
Okay. I'm just kidding.
good.
I'm just kidding. I think that Ant-Man works really well. He's got in his giant form. I think he has a 3 defense, if I remember. And so I think high defense characters work really well in protection because you can build to that take no damage, that type of build, and like to draw cards and to deal damage and to ready, that type of thing. Quicksilver, if there was a hero meant to be a protection hero, it's Quicksilver. Because he can use his ability to defend and actually exhaust in the villain phase, and then be ready to trigger his ability again in the hero phase. And you can beef him up to pretty good, a pretty good defensive stat. Venom, surprise! I think I talked about this too when we talked about Venom, but he surprised me in how well he did and worked with protection. But his, that ability to take 1 damage to trigger and get a wild resource, so that you can then play a specific grasping tendrils, for example, or any of these other defensive events on a shtick is super helpful. Because you'll trade in 1 damage for, to avoid taking the 5 attack from the villain. Drax, it's kind of a push and pull with me because Drax kind of doesn't want to defend because he wants to be ready to attack. But he's got some stuff in his kit that really it's okay to take the punches from the villain and not have to defend. And I think that there's some protection cards that really help elevate that play style for Drax, and it's right now it's my favorite way to play. Let's see, Spider-Man has it's like a Captain America minor, or like not as powerful as a Captain America, because he can use his backflip or something, I think is what it is, and he's got his anyway. Shield block, yeah, exactly. I think he lends himself to that playstyle. Iron Man is on the cusp between A and B, even though I love this deck, because he takes some time to build up. I mean, that's just the way Iron Man plays. Once you can build up, he can thwart with his hero kit pretty well, and especially if you have, because he has that 2 base thwart. So if you can get past that, I think he becomes an A tier hero. If you can survive the first few turns as a protection Iron Man, but it could flop for you. So I didn't. Anyway, he was on the line for me. Protection really lends itself to playing Black Widow. He has Black Panther. He has Retaliate 1 as his ability. Kennedy Hawk just did a playthrough, right? You did was it a deck of the week too?
Yeah, Black Panther protection.
Yeah, and I mean, it just shows how much ping damage protection can do on the villain phase. Like, you even won that game during the villain phase, and you dealt the final blow, the final amount of damage to the villain during the villain phase, and that doesn't happen. Has it ever happened in any other aspects? I don't know if it can. Maybe it can. If you're playing Black Widow, you can.
U.S.
But
agent.
that to U.S. agent. Okay, there you go. Yeah. That to me is something that it's almost unique to protection, and Black Panther does that very well. He's got the resources to get his upgrades out. You want to get upgrades out for him, and you've talked ad nauseum about this, Kennedy Doc, is spinning your Black Panther deck I think more so than any other hero to get the Wakanda Forevers, and you can get a lot of protection upgrades out and still be able to trigger things while you're getting those Wakanda Forevers. Black Widow with her suit lets her ready and adds defense, I think is what it does, and it's really good. I wish maybe
Adds
we
defense,
won't
I
see
think
this
is
for a
what it
while,
does,
but
and
to have additional preparations. I can't even remember what the protection preparation is now, but protection does more of what she wants to do. Although she does want to flip more, and I think protection generally, or more often than not, you kind of want to stay in hero form. You flip depending on the deck that you build, but so it's almost at odds, which is weird that Black Widow works in protection. This one, Wasp, and we are missing it.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Wasp surprised me that I ranked her so high as protection, but then I really thought about it. And I will die on this hill because her giant form, she has 3 defense. She has a let's see. She can do so much, and she can get a lot of recursion with her alter ego side if you have to get cards back into her deck. And there do seem to be quite a bit of mental resource cards that you want as in a protection player, or you can build that way. So Perseverance is one where you change form, you give your hero a tough status card. That's a mental resource. Counterpunch. No, that's a physical resource. Armored Vest, just to boost your stats. Unflappable if you're defending, and anyway, so there's a lot of synergies that you might not think of at first with Wasp, but I think really work really well. Scarlet Witch, I think one thing that just, I mean, she's really powerful, but one thing that solidified her is she can use her ability. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but she can use her ability or her, what is it? Her crown. I don't even know what it's called. Crest.
Nailed it.
Yes, and that works really well with, for example, preemptive strike. You can cancel boost icons and then deal damage for each boost icon. And maybe it doesn't work, but I think it does. You add 1 boost icon to that, so it increases the damage. Yeah, it's for 1 cost, but you're getting better value out of that card than any other character is. So that's a fun way to play her. And Gamora, because there's a weakness in protection, admittedly, that you may need to you might have some trouble thwarting. So throwing in the Justice cards and allowing her to heal and do the other things, control the board how she wants to, but still give you time that you need with those Justice events is very helpful. Let's see. Thor, Groot, and Miss Marvel. They're I mean, I think protection is probably Groot's best aspect. But it's one of those push and pull things like with Black Widow, because you want to stop the damage. Maybe that's why it's good. You want to stop the damage from coming in so that he can build up those growth counters. Thor, there's lots of energy that you can use to just go straight and a build towards the resource type. And Miss Marvel, you do want to be flipping a lot. Obviously, everyone saw how bad I am at playing Miss Marvel. But I tried to build a support and heal deck, but it didn't work. And maybe we're just not there yet with Marvel Champions. But
Science
they
has
were-
advanced.
They were definitely preoccupied with my Miss Marvel play or lack thereof.
but she has the wiggle room, which works. There's some, her base stats are only, pretty weak. So defending typically with a 1 defense hero isn't what I want to do. And okay, so then we got Captain Marvel, Spider-Woman, and Star-Lord. I think Captain Marvel is an underrated hero as far as power level goes. But I think that probably protection's her worst aspect. She can do a lot of card draw, which is good. But like I guess she does have the +1 defense if you use her helmet, but let's be honest, I never play her helmet. And Spider-Woman is a very powerful hero, and I think if I had to pair her with any aspect with protection, it would be leadership, and not just for that cheese Captain Marvel hero or ally deck, but because you have a wide range of allies and you can use your med teams to heal them. I think that's the best way to play with the protection with Spider-Woman. Star-Lord, I'm afraid that he has 10 health, but maybe it's the way I play Star-Lord. I want to use his ability all the time, and that many encounter cards, I feel like it's going to get me attacked more often than I want to with Star-Lord.
Yep, too random.
Definitely.
And fun example, today I played Drax Protection, and we had a leadership Star-Lord, and we were down to 2 and 1 health respectively, and I was like, even with leadership Star-Lord, I was on the edge of my seat, but without healing, and you were relying on flipping a lot, and I don't know that Star-Lord necessarily wants to do that. Maybe he does. And then, so my D tier, if I had to move one of these, it would be She-Hulk up to C. And I think strictly for, I won't still, but I think strictly for the focused rage and then using energy barrier combo, maybe you draw 1 card and then deal a damage yourself, but you stop it with energy barrier and then ping that to someone else. Doesn't make any sense thematically, but seems like a legit combo.
It's not.
I don't think you draw the card.
Yeah.
You draw after.
No, you
Yeah.
don't draw at all. If you don't take the damage, you don't get the
Okay,
draw.
so she's still D tier then. Okay, fine.
It's okay. You can move Hawkeye up. We understand.
Okay, then.
Honestly,
here's-
Hawkeye's the one that I would move up.
He's really him and Groot are and Rocket are squishy to me. But he does have statuses, a Hawkeye. So that could be a synergy that would work with him. And Hulk for me, I love playing Hulk. And I probably hold on to cards at the end of my turn more than you guys do. Not a lot of cards.
Disgusting.
I know. I'm a horrible player. And I only play standard, so there you go. That tells you all you need to know about me. But the fact that I can't do that as a protection player, I want to have a specific protection event in my hand, potentially. I can't. If I have it, I want to be able to hold on to it, but I can't with Hulk. That's the reason why I think he's D tier. He's got a great defense, and maybe I don't even need those events, but the fact that I can't hold on to that card wanted to
Brutal.
just really sours me a little bit. Even though I love playing Hulk leadership a lot, actually. Yes, I said it. I said that. That's it. So let me hear it. I went through that. That was a long time. Sorry.
Hulk being as low as he is, I think he should be the one that moves up. Just because if you build him like Iron Man, then it doesn't matter what you discard because you're always just playing stuff that stays on the board, and eventually you've built yourself a fortress. Like you said, the printed 3 defense is a big deal for a protection hero. And the only thing that could be better is packing it with 18 HP. And the only thing that could be better than that is actually having a hand that's relevant. But we don't have that, so Hulk doesn't go all the way to the top of the list. But I think he's the one that deserves to move up here.
Fair.
That's my biggest sadness. You didn't talk at all about health as a resource. That's like the protection thing, right? Poor Hulk and She-Hulk down there in D tier. Tisk tisk.
I did talk about health as a resource. Drax got down to 2 health.
Okay, you
My game
gave
today.
Drax the credit for that. It's just very like
What's
polar.
She-Hulk's? What's her? Yeah, that's true.
15.
That's
I
true.
think.
But he also has the like Save Me card,
He does. That's true.
and
Yeah.
and Captain America has the Save Me card, and I think is that it? I think that's it.
Yeah. There's other ones like Thor has his helmet that gives him even more HP, but it's not like a save me card.
And my Drax Save Me card actually triggered today. It actually happened for me. So, I mean,
I like Scarlet Witch in A a lot here, just because for like my grading criterias, she has a lot of stuff that wants to be in protection. Like we've played a lot here as played her a lot as protection. Had a really good time with it. I think it's called Magic Bubble. Prevents the 3 damage for whoever. So using it for yourself, you get access to stuff like Desperate Defense or Never Back Down or
did you
I
say
know there's
Magic
another one that I
Bubble?
forget. Yeah, Magic Bubble.
The magic. Okay, yeah, the Magic Shield.
Magic Shield. There it is. Yeah, I knew it sounded funny. I got Crest earlier. Give me a break.
Yeah, you did. You did.
But that wasn't honestly because of me. I got corrected the other day when I said that a Mazda logo looked like Scarlet Witch's hat, and my girlfriend said Crest. So,
Nice.
Yeah. I got stuffed on that one. But in general, I like that she synergizes really well with protection and made it really high on your list, presumably on that merit, rather than just being because she's Scarlet Witch.
What's up with
Anything else?
Spider-Woman? Do you not like what is her protection card? Contaminant immunity? I thought that was like a busted good card in her kit.
I don't like to play cards that cost 2 in her kit.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it costs 2,
That's
right?
fair. Yeah, it does cost 2.
I mean,
But tough
and I
heal,
feel like
come on.
yeah, yes, that's true. I mean, I'm not saying that it's undercosted. I just think that, and maybe it's because I get sidetracked with the fact that I want to buff her stats up. I want to try and play as many aspect cards as I can. In that, to
so
buff
like
her
the
stats up.
gimmick, like the
Right.
gimmick over what your like role is mechanically.
Right.
Like you want to maximize. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's fair
And-
too. She plays a lot of cards in the villain phase, which means you don't get her buff in the hero phase because you're like depleting your hand. It's like the reason I don't like protection is Spider-Woman. I get it. Okay.
That-
Venom in S tier is pretty cool, but the thing that kept like running through my head is how do you feel about him with momentum shift? Is he the best momentum shift hero, hands down?
I mean, is he? I don't know. Is he the best momentum shift hero?
Deal damage to yourself to be able to play it? That seems pretty good. When you can't play it if you don't have any damage on you.
Yeah, but he can't big in it. I'm just saying.
That's true. He can't.
It's fine. It's
he
fine
can't
if
embiggen
it's
it.
you can only heal 1, right?
Yeah, you
momentum
have to have
shift?
some damage though.
You
Yeah.
don't have to heal 2, right? You can heal
You
1.
Do have to heal 2 because it's part of the cost.
Forget it then.
It's like left of the arrow.
It's over.
Yeah.
Heal 2 damage from your.
Momentum
Yeah. Okay. So turn 2, you can do momentum shift.
I think She-Hulk's
Right.
probably the best momentum shifter because you can use 2 focused rages, take 2 damage, and draw 2 cards, and then use them to play momentum shift.
I mean,
Sure.
I think. Well, I think that you do want to be, and it's one of those things because we talk about heroes that the idea behind Marvel Champions is you can switch between alter ego and hero form, but there's only a handful of heroes that really want to do that. So, and protection again, you can build that way, but I think most protection decks you kind of want to stay in hero form as long as possible, like ideally, because you're using your health as a resource, right?
Can't defend threat.
You can't defend. Yeah, and you can't take the threat off. So I mean, I want to see more healing cards like Momentum Shift, but I can see why protection is sour for a lot of people because you don't get a flip over, or you maybe don't build that way to flip over to alter ego very often.
So because
Which
the green means sour,
green means sour, exactly.
green means
So,
sour. It's just already there.
I'm
It's baked in.
comfortable. I'm fine with that because I still get to see both sides, and I still get to do it at some point during the game. Maybe even if it's just the beginning, but I'm fine with staying in the hero form. There you go.
We done it. We made it through all 4 aspects. Did you have stats you wanted to rattle off? I know you did some statisticking.
Yeah. Let's see. Did some statisticking. Let's see. So I obviously gave. If you look at just looking at the images, I gave the highest average score. If you gave like an S tier hero 4 and a D tier hero 0, my score was a 2.3 average. Attercop's was a 2.1. Crimson's was a 2.1, and Infinity Hawks was a 2.0. So I was overranking them, I guess. And if we took our averages and or our each gave them that same score for each aspect here, let's see which we have Captain America as an S tier hero. He's the only one, as Crimson said, that was in our S tier, each of our S tiers. Doctor Strange is S tier. This is average, right? And Scarlet Witch is S tier. That was it. So it'd be Captain America, Doctor Strange, and Scarlet Witch. And then A tier we had as an average Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Wasp, Quicksilver, and Star-Lord and Gamora and Venom. So a lot of A tier. And the lowest one, does anyone know what the lowest one was? If if you looked at all the images,
Is it Hulk?
it was not Hulk. Are you
Groot.
kidding me on our
Groot?
podcast? No, it was not Hulk.
Yeah, I just had to. Is it Groot?
It is not Groot. It is Rocket.
Oh, that makes
Dang.
sense.
Or Trash Panda? Oh, I'm seeing it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, wow.
Groot and Hulk had the same like score, I guess you could say, and Rocket was just below that. So he only beat it. Let's see. He was on yours at a B. Is that right?
No, I had him
And
as a C. Krim had him as an
C.
A.
Oh yeah, there.
Yeah. I'm so proud of Crimson, actually. Like, he did what I couldn't.
What was that?
Crimson had him as a C.
Oh,
Rocket.
Oh. Rocket, I'm sorry. I was talking about Hulk. I'm just.
Oh,
yeah.
Hulk. Yeah. Hulk. There you go. So
no,
yeah, I mean,
I love Hulk. I just don't think he's generally that good in aggression solo.
so not that those stats mean anything. It's just kind of fun to look at him if you combined all of our powers and got Captain Planet. Can I say that?
No,
Yeah.
that's trademarked, I'm pretty sure.
No, let them come.
Our
It's not
aggression
like we're-
player allows it. It's okay. Well, that's all
How's
we
it?
had for this week. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us on Twitch. If you joined us live, this will be on YouTube later today and hopefully on the podcast feed tonight too. We're
Sweet.
excited to kick off Volume 3. So I think our next episode is in honor of fall. We're going to have a pumpkin spice episode. And we talked so much about aspects. We're going to talk all about basic cards, right? That's
Best
the
aspect.
No, not an aspect. Bad.
Best aspect. I'm gonna flip my desk now.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.